there. Moving on to the next page, and I'm not going to read through each one of these because once again we talked about you receiving a disc. All of the topics covered on this page are all covered on the disc as far as the information to answer each topic so that you have all the information you need. And all this is just a sample page of some of the resources and benefits that are found within the Resource Center. Okay, there's a lot of different columns. It's just a ton of information and a lot of information that the student athletes have at their fingertips at all times to help navigate them through the recruiting process. Next thing you're going to find, and this is a great example. Once again, Aim High Incorporated's process is all about exposing and getting the athlete the exposure at the next level. All the athletes want to play Division I. Everybody wants to play on Saturdays. We're going to cover some statistics later that show how we can open up their eyes to the opportunity they have outside of that small window. But the bottom line is, it's not where you go to get that education, it's what you do with that education after the fact. And a prime example is Colin Powell. Colin Powell went to New York City College, where to this day, their enrollment is still less than a lot of high schools in the United States of America. And obviously what Mr. Powell was able to do with his education and how he furthered his career with it speaks for itself. But we just want to open up the eyes, and it's a great example to show, once again, it's not where you go to school to get that education, it's what you do with that education after the fact. So just a nice little piece of information that we like to share with the student athletes and the families during our appointment. The next couple pages, you know, the value of Aim High Incorporated's product and our process and our services really speaks for itself. But to really open up the minds of the athletes and of the families on another level, I've given you a couple tools that I use that I find at times really do help open the eyes, open the minds of the student athletes and the minds of the families to really show how affordable and how great the investment is in Aim High services. First page you're going to see here says take into consideration. Now, myself, back in the recruiting process in 1996 when I graduated high school, obviously technology's come a long way since then. And back then, that was known as the times where you get in the car, you go everywhere you can, and on top of that, you send a letter about yourself. And within that letter, you try to be as descriptive and as formative to let the college coach know as much about you as possible without writing a novel. Sometimes can be tough to do. But the bottom line is a student athlete in today's day and age and in today's market, and especially with the recruiting game changing every day like it does, they need to be in contact with 100 to 200 coaches right away, right now. Now, with the cost of a stamp in today's market being 44 cents, if a student athlete wanted to contact 200 schools, knowing that he or she needed to contact those schools more than one time, maybe as much as 5 times, to get a response back from that school, whether that school was interested or not, their total stamp investment would be $440. Now take into consideration and think about, that's just stamps. That's not paper, that's not material, that's not time spent, and it surely does not come with any DVD material so that the coach can actually see he or she in action on the field, on the court, actually participating in the sport that he or she is looking to get the exposure and looking to get the financial assistance at the next level. So once again, it's just a great tool, and it really opens up the eyes of the families and the student athletes as far as how affordable the process can really be. Flipping to the next page, these are Aim High statistics. The average freshman that enrolls into our program graduates in approximately 12 days. Sophomores 900, juniors 600, seniors 300. We break down that $15.95 per day so that the family can really see the average daily investment. And you know, for those freshmen and sophomores, for the price of for a pop, you know, at the school vending machine at lunchtime, they have every single tool they're ever going to need at his or her fingertips to get themselves that maximum exposure at the next level. Once again, just another great tool to talk about how great the investment is in the substance of services and really what you get for the dollars as far as Aim High Incorporated is concerned. Last but not least, you'll find in your training packet, there's just a simple sheet, and it just simply states this. You need a plan of attack right now. Okay, that's the bottom line. The recruiting process started yesterday for the high school athlete. And the fact that you are now educating the high school athlete and educating the families on exactly what it is they need to do, they need a plan of attack. Luckily for them, you've taken the time to contact them individually, schedule that appointment, and be able to give them that plan of attack along with a complete list of services that Aim High has to offer the student athlete so we can get the student athlete going in the right direction. We can eliminate the gray area. We can eliminate all the questions on how do we, why do we, and when do we. We've taken care of all of that to give the family the assurance and give them the path that they need to follow so that once again he or she gets that maximum exposure at the collegiate level. Next thing I want you to get out there when it comes to the plan of attack is I've actually listed off and printed each and every one of you a physical plan of attack. What you're going to find here, revolving back to the disc, on this disc is there's an actual file that's listed plan of attack. When you have an appointment set in someone's home and you know you're going to be meeting with a student athlete, obviously you're going to have the name of that student athlete and you're going to want to know how many people are going to be present at that appointment. What you're going to do is you can simply, so that it's nice and formal, you'll be able to type right underneath plan of attack the student's first and last name and print off a copy of this, both front and back sheets that we're getting ready to cover, so that when the time comes at the end of your material presentation and when you're getting into the plan of attack, each and every person in the room, parent, guardian, athlete, yourself included, have a copy of this, because you're simply going to read through this, okay? And this is material that does not change. The recruiting process is the same for each and every student athlete. It's what he or she chooses to do with it that makes things different, and their profile and the information contained in it that makes things different.